like to call this meeting to order. It's a regular meeting in the Madison Fire District, October 18th, 2023, at 7 o'clock p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Adams.
Here.
Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Donaldson. Mr. Gautner.
Here.
Mr. Lee. Mr. Wayman.
Here. Great. Will all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Anderson, you had
Yep.
something you wanted to mention?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like for all of us, if we could take a moment and just bow our heads and send prayers and thoughts to Jesse Safko and his family.
Sure. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we're keeping Jesse in our prayers. I did talk to his dad today, and he is slowly getting better. So
Good.
that's really, really good news.
Good.
All right. Next, we have approval of the minutes of September 20th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. Is there any discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gautner.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
All right, next we have bills and payroll. We have bills in a total amount of $109,987.41. We have a tax collection fee of $635.59. And we have payroll in the amount of $172,854.36 for a total of $283,477.36. Do I have a motion to approve the bills and the payroll?
Yeah, that motion.
Motion by Mr. Adams. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Wayman. Under discussion, Joanne, do you have anything you want to point out?
So you're aware there was $61,535.73 is for the second half of our dispatching. And then if you're wondering what the Sedgwick is, that's our yearly $2,205. That's our TPA administrative for BWC.
Okay. Other than that, everything's pretty normal?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if there's no other questions for Joanne, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gautner.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
All right, next, again, Joanne, we have the September 2023 financial report.
Great. I am actually reading from the fund summary report. We started in September with $7,564,046.34. Our month-to-date revenue is $234,262.11. Our year-to-date revenue is $4,756,423.28. Again, our month-to-date expenditures was $283,477.36. Our year-to-date expenditures is $3,215,432.55. So our ending balance that we started for October was, for September, is $7,514,831.09. And then if we pay out our capital for the truck and remaining radios, it would leave us an ending balance of $6,799,353.31.
Okay. Are you expecting to pay the truck and the radios out
Still this year.
this year?
The
before the end of
truck's
the year?
coming in,
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope.
Did we, I can never remember, when's our annual bond payment on the
That's on
building?
Let's hear, that's coming up, that'll be coming in next month. We'll
Okay.
probably have a resolution to transfer for that loan payment. And at the time, Justin and I were talking, do we want to pay just the $500,000 or do we want to actually pay it off? We're going to talk more about that and then see when it gets closer.
We're real close to
Yeah.
paying the whole
We got
building.
like 1.8 million or something.
Okay,
So him and I are trying to feel it out soon. We'll have it for you next meeting to discuss.
okay, sounds good. Any questions for Joanne from the board?
No.
Okay, that's all you had, Joanne?
No, one other thing is Justin and I are meeting on Sunday to start drafting our 2024 budget, so we can present the draft to you in the November meeting.
Okay, great. You have any comments on that, Chief, yourself, or no?
As far as the
budget
itself?
Yeah, I assume you're talking with your command staff.
Right, yeah, I got a feeler out for them to see what they need for next year, and, yeah, should have a good beat on it for next month.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the opening public portion. Is there anybody from the public? Not seeing any, well, not that you guys are technically public. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to Mrs. Dane, legal counsel.
I don't have anything to report tonight, gentlemen, so unless there's any questions from the board, then I don't have anything.
Okay, anybody have anything for Mrs. Dane? Okay. All right, next we go to old business, ARPA retention grant. I think, Chief, is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah, this is the one that started prior to me taking over as chief here, and it came in, and we've been trying to figure out how to, it basically came in, about 2 weeks ago? We have 30 days to approve it and send it back to the state as the contract, and then I'm hearing about 2 to 3 weeks once they receive it, then we'll start seeing the funds into our account. And then we, as a district, can cut the checks for those members that are qualified and still here, so. I believe it was the 74,000 and change. Pull it up here.
74,617.
Yeah, 74, 617.27. The only questions we were having about this is whether it was pensionable or not, which is the district's 24% that it has to send into the state pension system, because it was deemed a pensionable item by the state, and with the grant agency, the Ohio EMA. So, which means that so for instance, it was based on 10% of $40,000, or 10% of your salary. So if you made over 40, basically, there wasn't any additional money. So of that 40,000, the grant was for $4,000 for that person. However, out of that 4,000, the state agency is allowing the municipalities to pull out the portion of that 24% for pension out of that money, out of that $4,000, if that makes sense, so that it can be qualified for people to retire with that number. Which basically, in the end, once you figure in federal and taxes, Medicare, blah, 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 it almost cuts that 4,000 into closer to $2,000, so. So that was what we were working through with the language and with the state and with the pension system, so.
So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, you know, the board actually has to kind of give us a directive too on, do you want us to withhold that amount from the employees, or do you want to absorb that too, is what was on here too.
So, if I understand this correctly, we can take our portion of the pensionable amount out of the ARPA grant, or we can bypass that and take it directly out of district funds. Is that right?
Correct.
The simple way of saying it?
Yes.
Do you know how much offhand that would, if we take it out of district funds, how much that is? I'm sure you read
So,
that.
yes, I do. So I did 17 full-timers at $4,000 each, which totaled $68,000. And with the Medicare and the pension, was 25.45%, which would cost the district $17,306
Total,
total.
17,000, I'm sorry,
306.
306. Well, I guess what's the pleasure of the board? We can absorb that, which then puts more money in each individual's pocket, if I understand that correctly. Or we don't absorb it, which is less money for the people who worked through the pandemic, so.
I think I'm good with absorbing that. I mean, they deserve it.
Right.
They worked for it.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
And Mr. Wayman?
Yeah, I do. I agree with what Mr. Adams said.
You and Mr. Anderson as well. So, I think it was a tough time and people stuck it out, and I don't think that $17,000, us absorbing it's gonna break the district. It puts a few more dollars in the people's pocket who hung in there through the worst of times.
Yep.
So, should we do that, Stacy, by a motion of the board, do you
Yes.
think? Okay. Well, do I have a motion then
Yeah,
to
that motion.
absorb that 17,000?
Yeah, that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Adams,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Anderson. Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Gottner.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Does that kind of give you some guidance there, Chief, I hope?
Yeah, I mean, I'm part of that windfall, if you will, so for me to, you know, make any suggestions, obviously, it seems like a conflict, but I definitely think the staff and I really appreciate the board's direction on it.
Okay.
And that actually was what, 17,306?
17,306.
That's for the full-timers and the part-timers have a little bit, yeah,
Right, so $17,306.
for the full-timers.
Okay.
Okay.
And actually, we did get a ruling from the pension board, so
Okay.
they sent their little email out to us.
I know, we'll, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Wayman and I will be dealing with this next week with our police department, because I know the chief sent us an email today that, that he's got his paperwork, so again, we'll be discussing it at that level. Okay. So, Stacy, you've reviewed the ARPA retention grant. I know we talked this afternoon, and it's basically Joanne's got some things to do, and
Yeah.
paperwork is in process.
Paperwork, there's deadlines, obviously, those are laid out in the paperwork that we already received. We had discussion about, you know, the reduction, but now the board has addressed that, so I think, you know, Chief Meister's ready to sign it, send it back. He has to meet that 30-day deadline. There's an email specifically, and in the award, it basically summarizes all of the different steps that we have to take. There'll be performance evaluations, forms, anytime we make a distribution. So my understanding is Joanne's gonna basically set up a separate line item to really track those, because it is something they can audit, and we have to make sure we have good documentation as to when we distribute it, who we distribute it to, and just be accountable for it. And I don't see any reason we should have difficulty in tracking that and doing what we need to do, so pretty
Actually,
straightforward.
Like I said with Stacy, I'm gonna actually do it in separate funds, so you can see, even though it's a fund in my term, but line for you guys, so you can see.
Right.
It's easier to.
And I believe the language in that, for this grant, for the reporting part of it, is it's each quarter, and it's gotta be, it's due within 10 days of the end of that quarter. So it's a fairly quick process for each individual reporting period.
And this is, the only people eligible for this are those people that worked through the pandemic and who are currently on staff. There's
Yeah,
people
they had
that have
the hired
left.
date on or before June 17th of 22 and still employed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and next door, they had an issue where somebody literally just retired last Friday, and they're trying to get all this done, so they had to move some shells around to make that work for that person, so yeah, you're right. Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
you
there's
have
a-
to be still here to get this.
There's a few people that unfortunately have retired or left that
Yeah.
are not gonna be able to, so.
Yeah.
I mean, and just to bring it up to the board's attention in case you all didn't read through the information, there is a way the board can ask for that money back if someone does leave their employment after they receive it. You can say basically that they have to stay employed with the district for a period of time, or they're subject to recoupment or forfeiture. But even the term limit can't go past the term of the grant, which is next December 31st, so December 31st of 2024. So there's a limited time period where that restriction would apply for the employees. But I just want the board to be aware that that is an option available to you if you want to put that on the employees at all.
Is that something we would need to do tonight, or no?
Probably before you would, you know, accept any of the grant funds. So if it's that quick of a turnaround after Chief Meister sends the paperwork in, you know.
Okay, so the latest we can do it, if I understood you, is December of 2024. After that, we couldn't
Because
hold
that's the
them.
grant period.
Right.
So once the grant period ends, then you couldn't restrict, you know, their employment.
Did you say it was December 31st of 2024?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to that. What's the pleasure of the board on that issue?
I don't know, we gotta figure out a time frame, how much time we have to remain here after they get the grant money, correct?
Well, we can't require it past next December, so do you want to shorten that and say you gotta, do you want to? Do you want to do it a year from now, or do you want to carry it out till the end of 2024?
I would think a year would be enough personally, I think.
They got to be here, they got to stay here at least 1 year, or we could require them to pay back that money.
Right.
But But if they pay it back, it goes back to the Ohio EMA. It doesn't come to the district. Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel about that, Jay?
I don't know, I'm kinda undecided on that. That's kind of a, cause they had to be working here for how long? What were those months again?
The hire date was on or before June 17th of 2022.
22.
To 23, so it's
Yeah,
previous,
to
it's not
23.
current.
Yeah, I'd say.
Do you wanna just take it to the max, December 31st of 2024? You gotta be here at least that long, or do you wanna require them to be here that long, or do you wanna say till October 17th of 2024, which is a year from now?
I don't think I would, I don't know, I don't think I'd want the 2024 because of, I mean, they already put that time in. You know what I mean? They already worked that time. So why are we making them, having to wait to receive it?
No, we're
No,
not,
no,
we're
no.
not, we're not receiving, we're not talking about
If they
receiving. No.
leave, they could pay you back.
They
You could
could
say
pay
they
us.
have
Yeah,
to
Right.
pay you
It's
back.
not when they receive it, it's if, it would be that if you get this money, you must stay an employee of the district at least until this date. If you don't, you have to pay it
Right.
back. That's what we're talking about.
But how do we recoup that? Are we allowed to withhold it from,
That's a good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, you can.
Would it be a payroll withdrawal?
and would it be prorated? I mean, these are just all questions they'll have, I'm sure, so you would need to know, would it be prorated, like if they stayed for 9 months?
Right.
You only
That-
deduct 3 months
Right,
payment?
Right.
That's like it's $333 a month.
But if we do nothing, then they
You
would
don't have to do anything.
You
It's
don't have
just, I
Okay.
feel it's an obligation to
option.
at least tell the board. I mean, reading through we've talked about everything else. I
Okay.
mean, that's the only other,
Well, that was my question. then.
Provision.
We don't have to.
we do not have
We
to.
don't have to.
Another question for you, Mr. Chairman on the board, is
Sure.
what about retirements? There's people here that started after that aren't getting anything, so there's a lot of there's a lot of angles to this.
Well, that part we can't do anything about, right? The ones that started afterwards, so that part we
Right,
can't.
that's
But
what I mean.
I understand what you're saying, like I said,
It's like
retirement,
there's a lot of
whatever, somebody
layers to
gets
this,
injured,
which you can-
whatever the case is.
Yeah,
That's why I
retirement's
don't
a
know
good
if I'd
question.
wanna run it out to 2024.
Because this is our
You know.
union basically matured, our union started in 1998, so to go the full 25 years, we're at 2023, so we have guys that are eligible to
Yes,
retire now. So
right.
this is kind of a special year for our department, our union specifically. So we have a lot of things that are.
That's why I'm saying I'd
eligible
like to
this
see
year.
them receive that full amount.
So,
And like you said, they may not go to the end of 2024, but I'd like to see them get that full amount.
But if they retire, are you gonna penalize
are you
them?
gonna go after them?
Yeah,
they're still
Because
not
they're
here?
See,
retired,
that's what I'm
because they've
saying.
been here
We
20
don't-
How
yeah.
many, how sticky do you wanna make this, you know?
Not really.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we
Less
don't
is
want,
more
that's what
for
I'm
me.
saying, I want them to get their money.
Right.
And I guess we're trying to do this the easiest way possible, so, I mean, they earned it then, that's why we just did what we did before, so.
I think Stacy did her job. She pointed it
Right.
out, which is, you could require this, or you don't, or we stay silent on it, and it just does what it does.
And let the
Give it
funds be
out.
received and you disperse them out within the
Yep.
30 days of receipt, and that's it.
I think that's just the best way to do it.
I think I'm okay
personally.
with that.
Me
How about
too.
you, Pete?
I'm okay with
Me
staying
too.
silent on it. I mean, if it
Okay.
happens, it happens. I
Yep.
mean, I'd rather see them have it than
Right,
send
I
it
agree.
back to Columbus or something.
Well, the chief's point's really well taken. There's people that could
Retire.
retire, and you
Right.
don't want to penalize those guys
Right.
after they put so many years of service in the district.
It'd be
so.
different if they renew and everything and gonna leave and just
Yeah.
go to another
Yeah,
department.
if they just,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
Okay, we'll just, if it's okay, we'll just stay
Yeah,
silent.
Yep.
yeah.
Turn the other
yeah,
way?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Do we have any other issues we need to cover under that, Stacy or Chief?
No, the only other thing is record retention has to be 3 years after the close of the grant program, so just put that on the record.
Okay,
That's it.
okay. All right, so, with all that said, we don't need to do anything at this moment, do we, other than we've agreed to absorb the pensionable part of it.
Correct.
So just let Joanne and the chief do the paperwork and deal with it, right, when the money comes in.
Right.
Send it downstream.
Okay. All right, anything else about under that, chief, at all, or do we cover it all? Okay.
No, sir.
Okay, we will move on to new business. We have a couple resolutions, and yes, we have resolution 2327. Stacy, do you want to read that?
Yes, resolution number 2327 is a resolution authorizing the district insurance plan as recommended for the upcoming insurance year 2024 and authorizing payments for said plan. Attached to this resolution is the proposal that we received from Medical Mutual, and basically there was not much of an increase, I think 0.88%.
Yeah, I looked at that for a minute, and I thought it said 88% increase, and I went, then I didn't see the little point in front of the 8, because I'm thinking, wait a minute, I thought it was less than 1%. So it's 0.88% for the record. All right, it's a great deal, and I think we've had good experience with Medical Mutual so far. We've been with them a number of years now, and I think, Chief, did you have any discussion with the bargaining group on that at all?
Yeah, they're all on board. The president's right there, firefighter Brush, Mike
Okay.
Brush. So he's already reached out to them, and we've been communicating on this matter. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's good to go.
Great. Well, then, do I have a motion to adopt resolution 23-27?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Anderson. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Wayman. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Gantner.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have resolution 2328. Stacy?
Resolution 23-28 is a resolution authorizing the district insurance plan with MetLife for basic life and basic AD&D insurance coverage as recommended for the upcoming insurance year 2024 and authorizing payments for said plan. Again, the proposal for the renewal is attached to the resolution. I think there's no increase on that.
Correct.
That's just all life insurance and accidental death or
Correct.
disability. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2328?
Yeah, the motion.
Motion by Mr. Adams. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr.
Second
Chairman.
by Mr. Anderson. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Wayman.
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah,
Mr.
hearing aids
Gantner.
on, I don't
Yes. Okay. Next, we have resolution 2329.
Resolution number 23-29, a resolution authorizing additional compensation to Lori Hoja, administrative assistant, increasing her hourly rate to $22.00 an hour, and authorizing payments provided herein.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2329?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Anderson, and I have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. Is there any discussion?
She's doing a great job. Outstanding job. Thank you for what you
Thank
do.
you.
And keeping us well informed. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gantner.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Elaine.
Welcome.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the chief's report. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll start off with the anniversaries. We only have one, firefighter Scott Rowe. It's his 20th year. Financial overview, we collected 107% of our tax revenue year-to-date, which should be pretty much all of it, I assume that, Joanne, correct? EMS revenue is at 82%. We're on pace for roughly about $700,000 to $710,000 for EMS billing. Staffing overview, we have several, obviously, with what's going on with the Sopko family, and then we have other folks here that are out on injury or medical. We've had plenty of overtime, which will be reflected in the budget there. So I want to thank the staff for really stepping up and helping keep us level for the last few weeks and last few months, really. We have 4 new people starting. They're in various stages of onboarding. I believe one just came off of their initial phase 1, which they can sign up for shifts now, which is a good thing. And then the other 3 are working their way towards that, so I'll keep you up to date on them. Call volume, we responded to 295 calls in September. 201 of those were for medical, 94 were other than medical, fire, hazmat, AMA, whatever. We're on pace for 3,700 for the year. We had 3,659 last year. I ran the numbers today, and we're about 60 over what we had last year to this date, so not the trend you want to see, but it's not completely, terrible. Fire inspections are ongoing. Inspector Solomosi's been picking up the slack while Captain Sopko's been taking care of his son. Vehicles, our oldest engine, 2133, had its air brakes repaired a couple weeks ago. The new engine is still on schedule for December, the last I heard. So hopefully that comes to fruition here. The new chase vehicle was purchased. You guys approved the light package, I believe it was last month. And we're still waiting on the company everything's on order. We're just waiting for them to get everything in, and then they're going to come in here and install everything. So hopefully soon we can get that on the road. Commercial truck, they were in the other day. I talked to one of the head mechanics, and they recommended one of our engines. Both of our old engines have oil leaks, a lot of leaks, so he recommended possibly next year of rebuilding it and doing all new seals, new head gaskets and all that, just to keep them as reserves for at least another 5 to 10. I'll get with Captain Henry on that, and we'll see, if the juice is worth the squeeze, if we want to just let them as they are, if we want to spend that kind of money. He was thinking maybe even closer to $25,000 for an engine, kind of an engine rebuild or tune-up. So we'll talk about that for budget stuff next month. So buildings, not much to report, but we do have the barn gym. I did upload some pictures in there. I don't know if you got a chance to see them. We got the walls built. We got the front, which we kind of turned into a model home so that we can maximize the space in the garage area. Because there was talk of building a room inside of a room, which Captain Henry and I kind of discussed it also with Lieutenant Sample and Lieutenant Fallhammer. And we just said, let's just make this as big as we can without giving up space for storage for the like the jet ski and some of the response stuff. So that's moving along. It's getting into the finish phase. I'll send those pictures as they kind of pop in there. But with all the overtime, with people being scattered and us being a little bit shorter than we're used to, it's just a little bit slower process, but it's moving along. Officer recommendations. I know I updated the board. We're moving ahead with the full-time testing. The window closed. It was last Friday. We have 15 applicants. Technically one internal, but we did hire some of the ones that are training right now, so they're technically internal. But overall, we had, I think, 11 from the outside and 4 from the inside. So they're going to take the test on November 3rd at 10 a.m. here. We're doing that FPSI test as well, which is a combination of mechanical aptitude along with personality, which we used a year and a half ago as well, and with pretty good results. So we do have the officer promotional, the lieutenant promotional going on. That closed tonight. We have 8 applicants or 8 internal firefighters that are going to go through that process. It's a pretty aggressive process just because I'm trying to boost the staffing. We're trying to get everybody moved up into the backfilling so that I can come off shift January 1. So we're on pace to do that, but it's going to be a tight window. I'll keep you posted on those. Reporting system, which is kind of our nerve system of what we do around here with all the EMS and fire runs. We're going to move over to Sanzio, which we use now for our EMS side of it, which is basically 78% of our runs. So they have a platform that does the fire side as well for the state reporting, which was the NIFRS. It's changing over to O-Firms, which we're onboarding that now as a department. So we're going to start that on January 1st. We did have to prorate the old system so that we bought ourselves some time to kind of get everything downloaded and move everything over. You can imagine what 6 years looks like of all that. So we're going to probably have a $600 or $700 bill from emergency reporting, and then we're going to sunset that and go fully with Sanzio. which is not gonna cost us anything because UH is picking up the tab, which they're our medical direction anyway. So that should save us a substantial amount of money, somewhere in the range of like $10,000 to $12,000 over the next couple of years. So the officers were completely on board with it, so we went that route. Part-timers coming on, the other things, the ARPA grant you guys approved. Medical Mutual's good. And I just want to thank everybody for their prayers and all their well wishes for Jesse and the Sopko family. Kirsten, Elliot, Jesse's wife and son. It's been a just sad, crazy, wild 3 weeks, and everyone's concerned about them, and I appreciate the board's thoughts, and I've been passing everything along to Terry and all the other family members. So please keep them in your prayers. I just heard today that Jesse did move over to a rehab unit, so things are progressing slowly,
Good.
which is a good sign. There are various fundraisers. I know our union is kind of tag teaming with Concord's full-time union. There's a fundraiser this Sunday for the Browns game. There's going to be some Chinese auction stuff out at the Red Hawk Grill. I believe it starts at noon and goes until the end of the game. So if anyone's interested in stopping out there and just kind of being around people that are supporting the Sopko family and the members of SCAD that were involved, it wasn't just Jesse. There were several other, that's been affected by this as well. So keep them in your thoughts. There's also a gun. I know guns can be controversial a little bit, but there is a gun raffle to benefit the family as well. There is a bourbon side of it as well that they're doing, I think, tying into the Concord raffle on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's also a spaghetti dinner Chinese auction. Mike, can you expound on that? Is that December?
It's December 2nd. I can't remember the church name, but it's on 45 there. It's one of the bigger churches in the county.
Yeah.
Yeah, spaghetti and just a bunch of raffles.
Yeah, so fundraiser for everyone involved that was affected by that as well. So if any of you are interested in that, we can get you more information on that as we go through and get closer.
Okay.
Aside from that, I believe that's all I have.
Sure.
Chief, on the one at Red Hawk, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Sunday?
This coming Sunday, yeah, the 22nd.
What's the times?
Noon till, I think, whenever the game ends,
Okay.
probably 4 or 5-ish.
Okay.
And that's strictly a fundraiser for Jesse?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sunday. All right, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Chief on his report?
And one more, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
If you can get on the one for December information
Yes.
and the location or whatever.
I believe is there a flyer going around for that as well? I thought I saw one pop through my emails.
It's
Yeah.
4:30 to 6:30,
4:30 to 6:30,
and it's December 2nd, Saturday.
December 7th. 7th?
Second.
Oh, 2nd.
Yep.
And where,
And that's Eagleville Bible Church.
okay,
1981 State Route 45.
okay. Thank you.
And one more thing, Mr. Chairman and the board, Joanne and I were talking, there's, the board meeting in December is the 20th, I believe. I know it's getting close to the holidays, so we just wanted to remind everybody that there was a meeting around that time as well. In case anybody was going on vacation or had
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah.
I may not be here.
Yeah, me
I'll
too.
have to look at my schedule.
So we want to make sure, because we'll have to do the permanent appropriations or.
Yeah.
we need to-
Definitely gonna have to look. I had one question for you, Chief, on your report. Now that UH has opened their new, what do you call it?
Urgent care.
Urgent care. I know when Chief Baker was here, we had some discussions because that always, if I remember the number, they had the urgent care before, it was adding about 300 calls a year for us. Are we already seeing a uptick in calls there yet?
To my knowledge, and we had one there, okay, I was gonna say, I didn't think I saw one come through at 6270, but,
I
okay.
jinxed us, it was my fault.
So blame him.
3 days and we hadn't been there yet.
Well, now
You
it's,
should know better.
now it's jinxed, so it
your
doesn't
fault.
matter.
I know, I'm just not gonna let them.
It just kind of, I know we had some discussions with UH, and I can't think of the gentleman's name now.
Ellenberger?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ellenberger, and obviously there was some discussion at one point about them wanting to house a unit here and get that worked out for a number of reasons, but I didn't know if they were still thinking of housing a unit somewhere in Madison to handle transports, or if you've heard anything at all. on
It's
that.
been crickets on that side, so I've reached out to them a couple times, we've played a little email tag, but, that's definitely on my radar. I did talk to Cardinal Woods, last month too about their situation. I think so far, I don't wanna jinx it. So far, so good. Things are kinda trending in a manageable fashion.
Yeah, can you track, track how many runs we're making to that new urgent care? Because that's a
Absolutely.
good thing to know.
Yep.
See how that's gonna affect us.
We'll do that.
Brian, don't say anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another staff seems really nice down there. Doc knows that they're working, they seem to go a little bit more aggressive than the other urgent cares that are, in the area. They seem to do like 12 weeks of medications, and the other ones are just kind of like, well, shove it off your fire department, send them to the ER, so.
That's
They're really
good.
nice down there, and they really felt bad for calling us at one time, but they felt it was definitely a necessity for that.
Okay, well, good. Thank you. All right, if nobody has any other questions for the chief, or you don't have anything else, chief, we'll move on to closing public portion.
Well, if you don't mind, I have a real short one.
Sure, go right ahead.
So for those that don't know me, my name is Mike, I'm the president of Old Time Here. Just want to thank you guys on behalf of everybody for absorbing the pension costs that are written.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
I think our people really hung in there and stuck together during those couple years in the pandemic, and I think we did things the right way, so.
We off? Oh, okay.
Thank you for all you guys did during that time.
Yes. Outstanding job.
Okay, next we got closing board comments. Does anybody have any board comments?
I do not.
I don't, sir.
Mr. Adams? Okay, with that, we need to move into an executive session to discuss personnel and performance compensation per Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make that motion, Mr.
Motion by Mr. Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. Roll call.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Gauntner?
Yes.
Mr. Lee? I'm sorry, Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Okay. And we're going into executive session at 7:37. All right. We're going to convene out of executive session at 7:55 PM, and we have a little bit of business to take care of before we adjourn the meeting. Stacy, do we have a resolution that you're going to read?
Yes, it's resolution number 23-30. This is a resolution authorizing additional compensation to Joanne Clapp, fiscal officer, increasing her annual salary to the amount of $15,500.00 and authorizing payments provided herein. That'll start basically on the next pay
Pay period?
cycle. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt that resolution?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Anderson. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Raymond. Any discussion? Joanne?
Thank you.
You've done a good job.
Oh, thank
Yes, you
you.
have. Outstanding.
Yeah.
And I'm not hounding you anymore.
That's right.
All right.
That was pretty good.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gontner?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And we have one more, we're gonna, a motion, I need a motion regarding increased compensation for our legal counsel.
I'll make that motion.
And the motion would be for, to increase the monthly retainer to $1,200 a month, and special, for any special litigation at $150 an hour.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Anderson, second by Mr. Wayman. Any other discussion?
And she, I'm
And
sorry.
effective, I guess, we didn't really talk about that. I guess, is it effective?
November 1st.
November 1st, okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. That's okay with you, Mrs. Dane?
Mhm.
And,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you also do an outstanding job.
Thank you.
You do.
You do.
And you're always there, you're always helping us and keeping us out.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the increase.
Well,
Quite
and
welcome. Well
unfortunately,
Thank
just, yeah, we had not increased Stacy's rate since 2018, so after 5 years,
Right.
it was time to do so. So, again, it's $1,200 monthly and $150 for any special litigation. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Anderson, second by Mr. Wayman. Roll call.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Gontner?
Yes. Okay. Is there any other further business to come before the board? If not, seeing none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Anderson, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. Roll call?
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Gontner?
Yes.
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Meeting's adjourned at 7:58.
Okay. Do I have something?
Good meeting.
I'm sorry?